Secret friends, unite!
Welcome to the Secret Friends Unite podcast, episode 483. This is your guide to the geek side, and I'm one of your hosts, Todd Oxtra. My goodness. I tell you, we're turning up the heat. It's July. We're in the summer of X, and I could not be more excited to be talking to Charlie Carden.
Who, me? Yay! Summer of X. We've almost gotten. We're in the home stretch, so we've got two spoiler cast films to talk about here, and then we'll be at the main event the weekend of starting July 26th. Will be X-Men. Deadpool and Wolverine. Very excited. But in the meantime, I'm flying my awesome new SSRT. Got the cap shield in the background because we get to talk about a Captain America trailer that dropped. It's been a great week for trailers, and when we get to the news, that's going to be some exciting.
And I'm wearing
stuff.
my Weird Al shirt, so
there you go.
He's doing nothing.
What is he? Is he gonna? Is he brandishing a microphone? He's going to whack you with?
Yeah, that was from his last tour where he did, unplugged, lesser known hits.
Yes, I went to one of those shows here in Grand Rapids at 20 Monroe, downtown GR. Yep. It's a wonderful show. It's a hardworking cat. But yeah, welcome, friends. Great to see you. As always, we are on episode, this is episode 483. Oh man, we're getting ever closer to the big 500. And in September, we'll have been making this show for 10 friggin' years. Can you even believe it?
And we still got our fingers, I think. All digits in place.
I gotcha. Yeah, we didn't blow them off over the 4th of July. But, what the show has evolved into, our awesome Patreon, we would not be able to do without the help of these wonderful people. Our Patreon over at patreon.com/secretfriendsunite does offer you all of our core programs with no advertisements. And in the case of Code 47, my Star Trek show, it comes out a day early. Fun Discord perks and all of the great extra programs we do for as little as $2 a month. We would love to have you on board if you visit again that site. Patreon.com/secretfriendsunite. You can sign up for a free 7-day trial. We think it's only 7 days. It could be longer. We're in the process.
We got top men on that.
We have top men. But something this was a great idea that Todd came out with. Mark and myself and Todd are going to do a Patreon only podcast for our Patreons, obviously, starting later this month. And we are in the month of July, if you're listening in the distant future. But anyway, yeah, so that's a great perk of jumping on and trying us out again, patreon.com/secretfriendsunite. For a free trial. We'd love to give some extra special love to the folks on our Friends with Benefits level. That would be John Sedorf, the awesome Phoenix Sisters Entertainment, Kelly and Crayley, lovely ladies, Brendan Myers, Corey and HD, and Matthew Keel. Our top tier folks, we call them the BFFs. That is the awesome Nias family of the Twin Cities, Sean, Stella, and Henry. Very grateful for all of you. If you're listening to us on our free feed, want to find out what all the fuss is about, patreon.com/Secret Friends Unite. We will see you there. And Todd, no big surprise on this cover. I know this is
I had to do it, Charlie.
Yeah, personal favorite of yours. But this has a cover date of July 1984, 40 years ago, even though cover dates are 3 months after when they actually hit the newsstand. But still, this is pretty cool. Todd, tell me about the Uncanny X-Men issue number 183.
Yes, I will definitely say, as a young X-Men fan, this comic blew me away. It's probably my favorite X-Men comic of all time. It's iconic. For me, this is, we're talking about a very iconic artist, John Romita Jr., Chris Claremont, fully on this book. This is one of the first post X-Men books after Secret Wars. Colossus, when he was in the Secret Wars, he was in love with an alien girl. She died. He was grieving. He came back and was dating Kitty Pryde before he left, and essentially broke up with her on a sunset on a hill, and basically kind of forward. So he made most of the team very mad at him for what he did.
Yeah,
the way they treated, Kitty Pryde is like the little sister of the X-Men. So Wolverine decides to, probably give him a little bit of justice on his end. Goes to a bar with Nightcrawler. They're hanging out, and Colossus is getting a little drunk, and sad sap Colossus, and
in his human form, right? Because I would imagine if he was all meddled up, it would be like he couldn't get drunk because he's invulnerable or whatever.
No, it's that's exterior. He doesn't turn fully metal. Yeah, I mean, yeah. It's like a shell, like the candy coated shell of an.
Well, and ironically, that's the shell from his feeling. That the young woman from the Secret Wars planet, her name was Zanji.
Zanji, of course,
because he was in love. He was in love with her, but Zanji was a healer and a bit of a flirt because she was really into Johnny Storm. And Johnny Storm just didn't care about her much at all. But yeah, what was interesting about Secret Wars is that it dropped. All of those dropped in January of '84. So all of the titles affected had a month of where's Spider-Man, where's the Fantastic Four, and then the following month everybody was back. Yet they really had to sit on all the details of everything that happened. So this was reflective of that.
So it was just fun because Wolverine knew Juggernaut was going to be at this bar, kind of got it. So set him up to have a tussle.
That's right.
And, and then this also introduced Selene, the Black Queen, Hellfire Club, first appearance. So as a young child, I'm looking at this, what is going on with this woman? Oh my God, kind of horrific because she's like a vampire, absorbs energy.
Know that I've actually read this one, so I think I may, or if I have, it's been so long. Because again, I didn't really at this age. I was just starting to read the Marvel G.I. Joe, and it was another 2 years before I would start with Spider-Man. So I was not into any superhero titles in 1984.
I was doing DC, and then X-Men was really the book. I had Spider-Man, I had some Spider-Mans as well, some Hulk, but X-Men was my crack because my neighbor down the street, Wayne Wilcox, his brother Chip, was a comic book collector. Was really big into it, and he showed me the first issue of X-Men I ever saw. And it was when they were taking on the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, that the old team with Avalanche, and it was great. I'm like, I'm all in. Who are all these people? I don't know. Just give me more.
I love it. Yeah. My brother had a friend whose name was one of the first guy I ever met who had two first names, Bill Charles. And he lived over on the other side of the main road from where we're at. And this was like 1985, 86, had all the X-Men comics and stuff. So it's like I dabbled a little, but it was people trading old issues of Amazing Spider-Man in the schoolyard when I was in probably fifth grade that got me hooked, and that's when I got my subscription. I was reading it every month. So yeah, man, the old days, the 80s, the 80s.
Yep. So yeah, if you're interested in this book, it's Marvel Limb is probably the easiest way to find it. But you can find a back issue of your favorite comic book shop, and you can find it there.
Absolutely correct. Well, good deal. Well, someone who was far too old to be getting into comics for the first time in 1984 at age 84, that would be our senior news correspondent, Madam Webb. Love her as we do. She finally had her big break in the movies earlier this year, which clearly did not pan out, but we still love her, and she still works very inexpensively for us, giving us the latest scoops, news, and reviews down at the corner of Hollywood and Vine. So let's go.
Now it's time for Madam Webb's Rumors and News. Take it away, boys.
Thank you, Madam Webb. Yeah, you remember that bar. Used to be working there. He had the day off when a certain guy showed up to come back the next day. It's totally beaten down. They said, we'll pay you 50 cents an hour to clean up debris. And you're like, what's a girl to do?
Money is money. It's good, honest work. Oh, speaking of sort of good, honest work, there is a lot going on, and I'm super fired up. And this has also spurred April and I into doing a complete MCU movie watch between now and next February. 33 films.
We've done this films. Like many times before too.
I just, I'll space it out by usually like 2 or 3 years. That'll be like, all right, time. I'm
surprised you don't just do the ones that relate to this movie.
I mean, if
seems like a better use of time, but
if you've
got a lot of free time, why not?
April's a big fan of completeness, but yeah, I haven't done a full MCU rewatch today. Yeah, it's been a couple of years, so we got to add back in the movies that you don't.
I never have. I've watched individually once in a while, but I would say majority of them I've only seen once.
Interesting. That's post Endgame is kind of the same for me. But anyway, we are talking about the trailer for Captain America: Brave New World. So we got this a little bit earlier this week, and we've really got a ton of trailers, kind of pre San Diego Comic-Con, which is on right at the exact time that Deadpool and Wolverine come out in a couple of weeks. We get San Diego Comic-Con, so the end of this month is going to be quite buzzy. But Todd, walk us through it. What do we got going on in this trailer?
Oh my goodness. I don't know if they're giving us a specific date when this is actually occurring, but we do know some things have changed. So Captain America is fully on as Captain America, and he meets the President of the United States, who is Harrison Ford.
Get off my plane! Wrong guy.
Thunderbolt Ross, who was played by William Hurt before he passed away. So they're bringing a character back, obviously, and no mustache this time because they said he wouldn't get elected if he had the mustache. And fun fact, Charlie, when I was in Saudi Arabia, I was going for officer of the quarter for logistics, and my boss told me to shave my mustache or he wouldn't nominate me. So, because we were mustaches, we had nothing better to do in Saudi Arabia except for our mustaches.
Random. But yeah, you're like me. You don't really have the mustache power. I know.
I can do it. I look like a walrus.
I know. It's for me. I always have this middle part. It just never grows that great. So I'm not a facial.
You got the reverse Hitler.
I got yeah, exactly. Oh man, I know it's a tough one.
Okay,
but yeah.
I mean, at this point, it looks like he wants Cap to become a part of the military officially. We see a press conference, and the old original Captain America decides to start shooting, Indiana Jones. So that's kind of where it takes off.
Right. It's crazy. So we're getting a spy thriller. The big thing I just watched another breakdown video before we got on here. There's a fight potentially going on between the United States military, the Japanese military over Tiamat, the Eternal that we saw at the end of the Eternals in the Indian Ocean with the head.
They finally realized it was still there.
Yeah, they were like, "Oh, wait a second, what is this doing here?" So they want to fight over it because it's got precious minerals and stuff. And I watched two different breakdown videos that suggested that might have something to do with introducing adamantium into the MCU. So that's kind of interesting. And we're also getting, and it's some kind of controversial with everything going on in Israel right now, but the introduction of Sabra, who is that is the female character that you see in this trailer, who in the comics, and this is even going back to my days with the official Marvel handbook in the 80s, was the superhero from Israel. So
who's wearing she had a weird, almost looks like a I don't know. It was like a furry collar,
right? Yeah, the comic character. Yeah, not the person.
Yeah, very odd look. Yeah, I'm so secret. You'll never know me by my furry collar.
My furry collar, which obviously, furry collar seems like that would require a lot of dry cleaning. Dry cleaning would not be great for superheroes because he is up as they get. So anyway, this comes out February 14th of next year, and this is the new hotness for me for Marvel because this has always been my spot. Todd, I know you weren't the greatest fan of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I enjoyed it because I enjoyed Captain America. That's after Spider-Man, he's my number one Marvel thing. So I tend to look with a little rosy-colored glasses. I'll kowtow to that admission, as many of us do. But I'm fired up about this.
Should have been a movie. Too much filler. Too much stuff happening that really was kind of boring. And quite honestly, after seeing these big heroes on the big screen, having them being on the small screen, lesser budget, especially if their height's coming back down, I don't know. It just felt like the story wasn't very good in regards to the enemy and things like that. So I just felt like it was fine, but it wasn't like, holy cow. I mean, this one, punchy, we're going to get to it. A spy thriller kind of makes you feel like where Captain America would always do something a little different. And to me, this just feels like,
you got the return of Tim Blake Nelson as the leader, going all the way back to Ed Norton's Hulk in 2008. You've got Giancarlo Esposito possibly as an X-Men character. Was it G.W. Bridge?
Yeah. He's
from Cable
all the time and part of their six-pack.
Yep.
That was his team. And we also hearing that Nev Campbell will be back, which is just crazy.
No. Liv Tyler, not Nev Campbell.
Yeah, she showed up too.
Why not? It could be either one.
Crossover.
It's the 90s. Why not?
Yeah.
By the way, quick sidebar: R.I.P. to Shannon Doherty, icon of Generation X, who just passed away.
I mean, Charmed.
Weekend.
I mean, my wife, that was one of her favorite shows. 90210 for us, and played a lot of different characters. And I think the big thing here is we got a stinger, very similar to Civil War, where the stinger was Spider-Man,
and now we have
Red Hulk,
right, flinging down the famous shield right over my shoulder. If you're watching us on YouTube, but and thank you for them for just teasing and not, because we'll get another trailer. Super Bowl. I'm guessing. Yeah. This comes out so close to the Super Bowl, I wonder if it might be before that. Because the Super Bowl is usually first weekend of February, right? This will be the next one.
Yeah, because we've got 17 weeks of the NFL now, so I'm guessing the Super Bowl will be the week before Valentine's.
Yeah, which is when this comes out. So great Valentine's Day gift. Valentine's also the birth date of my late son, so it's a very special day. Yes, I will. Even though he was no Captain America fan, I will do it in his honor. But this was Captain America is just my jam, always has been. Got me on a little bit of a kick reading some old Cap comics too. So I'm excited. This should be great. All right. Let's move it on down the line. So Todd, you're a little bit more of the fan of the supernatural. First of all, this would be great if the way you describe it is really what we got. Green Goblin.
That's exactly what's happening.
Beast versus Pennywise. Yeah, break it down for me. What do we got?
Yeah, so Nosferatu, if you're familiar with it, iconic tale of the original Dracula tale. It's the old black and white movie you see that's in silent film, creepy fingernails, Count Orlok. Also playing as a Dracula. Well, we're getting kind of a new take on it. And it looks amazing. Robert Eggers, who, if you've seen him, The Witch, The Northman, done some other things, really love his films. Yeah. So we're getting this film, and it's not the first time it's done before. It was, the 1922 movie. There was the one in 1979, and there was a fantastic kind of unique telling of it called Shadow the Vampire with Willem Dafoe. And that was an amazing movie. It's kind of like we're making a movie about this, but they actually used the real Count Orlok. It's a great movie. Highly recommend it. But we're getting this take on it, and it has an amazing cast. So Bill Skarsgård from It and the Crow. So he's going to be Count Orlok. He's not playing the hero, of course. Now he's been kind of typecast as you're going to be the freaky dude. So that's kind of who he is. Then we got Willem Dafoe, Nicholas Hoult, Emma Corrin, Lily Rose Depp, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Simon McBurney, and Ralph Ineson.
Damn, what a cast.
And this is a Christmas film?
I love it. Nothing says Christmas like fucking Dracula.
No.
That's good stuff.
It's so random, but it looks amazing.
Yeah. Let's hope that the window doesn't. But again, why steal it from Spooky Time? You could roll this out 2 months prior. But I mean, they must have their reasons.
Well, you know what, Charlie? If you're having a great, crappy Christmas time, get away from the in-laws and go
see some Dracula.
Go see Nosferatu.
Oh my god,
it'll be less scary. You need to cheer up. You need to be cheered up. Nosferatu.
And you don't have to be drunk the whole time like you are when you're around your in-laws. Most people's in-laws. I'm not saying mine. I'm not saying yours. We don't need to say that.
Not at all.
Oh my gosh. Well, sticking with the theme of the spookiness, what was the last Marvel TV live action project? Was it She-Hulk or Moon Knight? I mean, it's been a year. We did have What If. That was that earlier this year?
Live action?
Yeah.
Good question.
I know
I'm looking at the Wikipedia. Yeah. You keep talking though.
Yeah, I know. Last Halloween that we had the Werewolf by Night, or God, was that the one before? Now I can't remember. I feel like it was the one before.
That was 2 years ago.
Yeah. Okay.
So let's see. Oh, here we go. God, crap. So we had Echo. Was that the last one? It was Echo.
Yeah.
January
okay.
8th,
yeah. Okay. 6 months
before that, we had Loki.
Okay. Yeah. And I'm not
Invasion.
I'm not putting either one of those down. I will definitely put Secret Invasion down, which we had this time last year, which was a garbage burning fire of wet trash that no one loved. But this is a return to the very first MCU television program on Disney Plus, which is a sequel of sorts to WandaVision that I think has been in the works since that time. WandaVision we got back in 2021, but this is the often renamed show about Agatha Harkness, which is now called It Was Agatha All Along. Right? Did I get that right?
Yeah, it is, and it's had like 15 different proposed titles.
Exactly. Yeah, it was the Darkhold Diaries, or the Agatha goes to the supermarket, or Agatha is on the space shuttle. I don't know. They gave it a lot of different names.
Harkness Step by Step, Perfect Strangers. Do I don't know.
Le do. But yeah, we get a fun trailer, and again, I know you and I and John, who is our third secret, our founding secret friend, he and I think a few other people we've talked about kind of watched this, and even Mark, who's our podcast partner, said, I don't really know what this is all about or who it's for. However, I was watching it with my wife, who loves witchy stuff. The supernatural, it's been a thing for her since long before I met her. This is her Captain America.
This is for my wife too, because she doesn't care about any of the other stuff. She's like, show me something cool and spooky and supernatural.
Exactly. Now, April does enjoy all the other stuff, but this, anticipation level is through the roof. So that's very cool. But yeah, we get to see Agatha having to assemble a team into a coven to go on a quest. And there's the Witch's Road and scary stuff. And at one point, she's flipping over and doing the deal from the. Oh my God, The Exorcist! Like Reagan from The Exorcist.
Yes.
Yeah, doing the flip it over. And also,
like I don't know, like raising the roof.
Yeah. and
why not?
I love it. Hopefully that'll make the screen grab when you publish it.
I'll try to plan it as long as you look up and I see your beautiful face. There you go.
Oh, very good. But it's fantastic. And this is we're getting this before spooky season comes out in late September. And she also Jimmy Kimmel is on vacation now. He's been having guest hosts in. She hosted for a portion of last week. She was great. I don't know if you saw the clip, but she did her musical send up to the MCU. Hey, I want to catch people up on the MCU.
Oh, I'll have to watch that. I really like.
She brought out 3 poorly dressed cosplayers who went through the MCU and did a song. It was great.
I love it. And I know people say, "What's this about?" It's how Agatha gets her groove back. I mean, apparently one of the young coven breaks her out of the trap that she was in.
Aubrey Plaza, Patty Lupone. I mean, great cast.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's going to be very fun, and where this goes, hopefully, it will lead to knowing more about the dark side of the what are we going to call it? The Midnight Suns, or of the Marvel universe, because we aren't getting Blade anytime soon,
or ever.
We knew the Black Knight was kind of trapped in it with the Eternals, somewhere.
He's doing mining on Tiamat. That's where he's been since 2021.
Probably. I mean, we might see Ghost Rider again in Deadpool and Wolverine. But other than that, I mean, we really don't have anything from that side really leading into saying, is there going to be a property, a movie, or something soon?
Yeah,
and I hope we do. But I dig the cast. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. But yeah. Are we in a realm of the MC now where we can start saying all projects don't have to lead to the next thing?
Right.
Can we be in that era now?
You can have where people like your wife and my wife can be like, oh, I love spooky stuff and witch stuff is my jam. And this is my slice of the MCU that people can be excited about. So that would be great. It should be that way. So yeah, that would be cool. So we get this.
Oh
no, go ahead. I was going to have you.
I was say like the old days of comics, where comics used to not really be. I mean, there was canon, but it wasn't so tight and hot. But you would have like Spider-Man show up, and you didn't have to get filled in what was going on with Spider-Man and everything he's been doing the past 5 years. He just shows up and has a good time. He leaves.
Well, you know what? The greatest example of that, and I've talked about this many times, were my 2 favorite team up books that ran in the 70s and the 80s. That would be Marvel Team Up. Generally speaking, Spider-Man plus one other character, sometimes a team, and Marvel 2-in-1. The Thing, one of my favorite character from the Fantastic Four because of this book, and somebody else. And there might be vastly one-shot stories, sometimes a mini arc, whatever it is, but they would find themselves together, they would do a thing, and they would go their separate ways, and you didn't have to be, it was just Spider-Man swinging by, like, hey, you know what, I'm on lunch, and, it's a Tuesday, and I'm doing this thing, and then it's over, and my lunch hour is over. It takes, and then, he's back to his thing. Doesn't have to be
we got one example. Yeah, we got one example of that so far, which was Daredevil showing up in She-Hulk, and I loved it. I thought it was great, and I didn't care that. Hey, what's he doing? I don't know. It was fun.
Right. It didn't have to.
Doesn't have to be fun.
Shouldn't have to lead to something else. Yeah, you're right.
No.
It becomes way too inside baseball when you're like, well, but the thing is, and again, I know I'm sure I'm guilty enough watching too many of these analysis videos, the new rock stars screen crush and being like,
how does it all connect?
But how does this? Yeah, then you turn into Charlie Day from It's Always Sunny with the board of red string. You know what I mean? It's just there's no way to get away.
It just takes one new project to. Or like, actually, that didn't happen. It just falls apart like a house of cards.
Oh my gosh.
And Kevin Spacey's career.
What? Oh, well, we're not touching that one. Oh my God. All right, moving along. Now, this was the first trailer that I watched today that I hadn't seen yet. And so we're kind of getting into a space of legacy sequels that you don't know if you needed. But what do we got? Gladiator was a film in 2001 maybe, with Russell Crowe.
I believe so, yeah. Oscar-winning performance, Oscar-winning movie.
The titular Gladiator, where he's a Roman slave fighting in
Are You Not Entertained?
Pits. Are You Not Entertained? You got Joaquin Phoenix being a grody scumbag. I would have to watch this film again to know all the details, but boom, what do we got going on here, Todd?
Yeah, so this essentially is a sequel. We have ties to the original Gladiator because we get, we're going to have a great cast, but it's kind of neat that we do get one of our favorites, Pedro Pascal, who is playing a character called Marcus Acacius. He actually trained under Russell Crowe, the character he played, Maximus.
Now, Pedro Pascal is in this. Is he rescuing a small child to take them to their to safety? Because I didn't see that in the trailer. So is that it? It's like a tree falls in the forest. Can it really be Pedro Pascal if he's not rescuing a child?
Yeah, no young child in danger. Maybe we haven't. That hasn't been revealed yet. Yeah,
right, okay.
He's going to be not the main character, because the main character is Paul Mescal.
Yep,
and he's going to essentially be trying to break through the apparently even worse Roman emperor that is a bad dude.
And it's Denzel, isn't it? Denzel or Denzel?
No, Denzel's a power broker who's trying to basically reset the landscape of power in Rome.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
The actual emperor is one of them is Joseph.
Gordon-Levitt?
What's his name? No, I can't remember. The new Johnny Storm. He's one. Yeah, he's one of. He's going to be the emperor.
Eddie,
guy.
Wasn't he just in the Quiet Place movie? And he was Eddie. Eddie from Stranger Things. I just couldn't pin it down. He's got that kind of face. Yeah, wild.
He's wearing like white makeup in it. Looks really kind of freaky. So maybe we're getting to like the.
There was a freaky
freaky
white makeup wearing guy in the movie. I'll talk about in the Geekeasy as well. So
perfect.
Yeah, I love it. It's a good week for it. So yeah. And it was a long trailer.
Be a big film.
Over 3 minutes, which is your standard trailer is usually like 239 or 229 flat. So this was a bit longer, packing it a bit more because we're getting this in.
It's your Thanksgiving film, November 22nd.
Gotcha.
It's kind of weird. This one's kind of a weird one because Ridley Scott is now revisiting his past. I mean, he's already gone back to the Aliens franchise. He's going back to this. So it is interesting. Not a lot of directors do sequels. We had Coppola who did 3 films, but I don't know of, Spielberg. I guess he hasn't done
Indiana
a lot of
Jones.
sequels.
Indiana
Jones, but that really, he was more of the shooter rather than the guy behind it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But at this point, the one thing that people are making fun of is the fact that they chose a hip hop tune by Jay-Z as part of it, and it is kind of an odd choice, but I think he's trying to say that hip hop is disruptive, and that this movie is going to disrupt the power structure of
not that Denzel Washington's character is somehow related to Jay-Z.
No, he's not his great ancestor.
His great, exactly. You know what? Prove me differently. Otherwise, that is my headcanon. that
Okay, that's how we're going.
Denzel
Okay.
is going to rap his way through this movie. He's going to invent rap, but then with the fall of Rome, rap will be lost and not discovered again until the 1970s in South Bronx. That's what I'm saying.
And Eminem is like the distant Roman emperor, and he's answer too. So it's going to be a breakdown.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, I absolutely can't wait. Okay, so yes, as you said, that is our Thanksgiving film. All right, next one is you, X-Men 97. We were all thrilled by it, but there's some changes going on for season 3, season 2, which I assume we'll get in 2025. So we're talking about something that'll come out 2 years from now, is currently being made. And what's going on?
Yeah, so X-Men 97, great. Season 2 is, I believe we're going to get more information about it at the D23 presentation, which is after San Diego Comic-Con. But that one largely is in the books. The scripts are complete. The showrunner, Bodemeo, who was behind kind of a lot of this, he left or was asked to leave. I'm not sure. Some weird things about an OnlyFans page. Very odd, very awkward. I don't know.
You don't hear that much about a man on OnlyFans. I guess I don't hear that much about it, but you never know.
Exactly. But apparently he was very awkward to work with and some things that were not great. So the good news is, while most of the story is there and people loved it, we're going to have other showrunners coming to take over. And we now found out that the writer of the X-Men 97 season 3, which I didn't even know was like approved for season 3. So that's fantastic.
Yeah. Well, I mean, season 2 blew everybody away. It's the bomb.
Yeah. He wrote, What If. He was involved with that. So, and he also was involved in the Miss Marvel, TV series, which I really enjoyed. Some people didn't. So this is kind of cool that they're going to have more people that have been involved in animation and also Marvel projects. And we're getting X-Men 97 season 3. Are they going to keep calling it X-Men 97 or are they going to call it X-Men 98, X-Men 99?
It should be 99 in the third season, right? I mean, they kind of nudged it forward. So in 99, they'll be listening to Papa Roach and,
Power Man 5000.
Oh my God! Yes,
I'm down.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. What else were we doing in '99? Ricky Martin. That's when he came out big strong.
Sure, there was like a Armageddon movie or something. Maybe
it was 98. 98. Yeah.
Oh,
98 was the summer of the asteroid movie. There was that in Deep Impact. I love Deep Impact. Thought it was a great flick. But anyway,
Deep Impact really good. Yeah. Armageddon.
Oh God, I can stay awake. Don't make me.
Animal crackers on Liv Tyler's belly.
Oh, Liv Tyler, but not Nev Campbell.
it's a live. It's a living.
It's what is this? The Flintstones? It's a living. Mirror, clunk. Oh my gosh. Oh, so I look forward to that. So I'm guessing this doesn't tell us when we can actually
no. Even animation's so weird. It's not like animation takes a long time, so I don't know if it's a 2-year situation. Although The Simpsons, I mean, and more simple animation like Family Guy and things like that are probably quicker because that's like, oh, it's Peter Griffin. We're just going to reuse him and then put him in a same set that he's been in versus like huge mutants and things.
Exactly correct. So cool. All right. Well, I look forward.
Wouldn't it be great though if they brought like the Filmation, like He-Man, where it's just like Wolverine is still walking past the same
rock 15 times. He's walking through the same living room at the X-Men,
and he has to turn. And then it goes forward.
And then how do they end?
Right in front of me.
How do we end every episode? All the laughing.
Yes, and the more you know, or knowing's half the battle. Watch out for child predators.
Oh my gosh!
The more you know. Yes,
exactly correct. All right, well, that is the end of the news. Todd, time to get out that Fuber app, that feeble Uber app. We've got to order us up a ride to get us down to Scugtown, Nastyville. It is time to visit the Geek Easy. Talking about stuff we enjoy, but as I'm getting into that 98 Lincoln Town Car that still has the roll down windows and the place to ash your cigarettes, the guy flips on his AM radio and I hear this ad.
Hey, Secret Friends Unite, let me tell you about Zencastr. We use them for our show, and now they're supporting us. Zencastr is now the all-in-one solution making podcasting easy. It's the ultimate web-based podcasting solution. Provides high-quality audio and video podcast production and hosting. With a full suite of professional tools, podcasters can seamlessly record, produce, and publish studio-quality content, all from one dashboard. Being a creator has never been easier. And we chose Zencastr because of the ease of use, high quality output, and it makes it super easy for our guests to come on. We had multiple solutions we tried before, and Zencastr has just been the best fit for us. Why Zencastr? It's now super easy to record a podcast with Zencastr. Log in using your browser and start recording a high-quality podcast right away. Record studio-quality sounds and up to 4K video with your guests. Feel a sense of zen knowing Zencastr's multi-layered backups ensure you always have your recordings in the highest quality, even if the connection is unstable. Have you ever worried what you sound like? Zencastr's post-production process makes you sound buttery smooth. It automatically removes those ums and ahs in your recording. It removes those awkward pauses in conversation too. Set the right podcast loudness and levels while reducing background noise with the click of a button. So if you're interested in making an easy, high-quality podcast just with the click of a browser button, go to zencastr.com/pricing and use my code SFU1. You'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. I want you to have the same easy experiences I do for all my podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story. Now back to the show.
Talk nerdy to me. Talk nerdy to me.
We're sitting in the Geek Easy, drinks are poured, cover band is playing, and we are ready to get our nerd on. So this week, I thought about talking about, the regulars, Acolyte, the boys, but at this point, I think I'm going to save a lot of my thoughts until probably at least the Acolyte.
They're both over next. They're both over next week or this week. I should say. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
well,
they're both over.
We'll save it for next week.
Yeah, as you listen to this on Tuesday, the Acolyte will air its final episode. Mark and I will be on Wednesday, or we'll record on Wednesday. It'll probably come out on Thursday. We'll be talking about our thoughts there with the guest. Then the boys is a Thursday show. So when we record next episode of this program, we'll be able to talk about both. Boom. Yeah. Fixed it.
So save it for when it wraps up. So I think that's probably a good point rather than, when you're at the penultimate, then let's talk about the ultimate. See where it lands. All right. But one thing I did want to talk about was Young Justice. So this is a series that had 2 seasons on Cartoon Network and then was canceled. And when DC Universe launched its streaming service, now long RIP, they actually commissioned new seasons of Young Justice. There's a great artist who does Young Justice comic books, Christopher Jones. I had him as an early interviewee.
Right.
On the
because he's local guy.
Yeah, he was a Minneapolis local, but now he's living out in Hollywood.
Hollywood.
Yeah, he's working as a consultant on the series, doing adaptations for Young Justice and doing a lot of he does like Doctor Who comics. So he's done a lot of awesome. Commissioned works for contract work for different IP, which is very cool. And he's heavily involved in this series. But they brought back Young Justice, which is essentially think about as Teen Titans, but kind of like a new modern comic book. Young Justice was a comic book that came out late 90s. So it was kind of thinking about Teen Titans, what's the next generation? So Young Justice is kind of the next generation after the Teen Titans. Really cool comic. The first 2 seasons of Young Justice were amazing. Just really good animation and awesome storylines. Really, really dug it. And I started watching Young Justice season 3, I think when it was first announced. Started watching it it didn't catch me. For something felt a little bit off. And that's not uncommon when you have a huge gap of a show and then it comes back. Like Arrested Development, I know when that came back, I know people are like, this doesn't feel the same. It's not very good.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah. But this, I got back into it and I'm really enjoying it now. So I was like binging it. So I'm like through episode 12 of season 3. And I don't remember how many episodes are in the season, but it's a longer season. So I'm really digging this. And this season is called The Outsiders because that's what it essentially is.
Batman
it's
The Outsiders. Is he there?
Yes, he is. Tangentially, because you got a lot of the characters that were in, like you got Metamorpho, Katana, Geoforce.
Geoforce, wasn't that the car you drove in the 90s? The Geoforce?
Yes, the Geoforce Storm. Yes. But it's got a lot of those characters from that comic book, Black Lightning, and I like how they mix things up. It's characters drop in, drop out. A lot of great new villains.
Yeah.
I'm really digging it, and
Nice.
it's a smarter type of comic book series. So
Yeah.
I really enjoy it. So I'm glad I've got another season to watch. But yeah, if you're, it's 22-minute episodes, and at the end of every episode, Charlie, there's something really it's kind of got a creepy vibe to it. But at the end, they show like just a random character like sleeping at, like, there's Crypto, the dog, Crypto. They just show him sleeping there.
Well, that sounds cute.
They fought Lobo in an episode, and his finger got sliced off. So you see the finger just sitting there. And I'm like, and one of Lobo's characteristics back in the day, if he drew blood, that drop of blood would turn into another version of Lobo.
Oh no!
They took that power away. They took that because
good.
like that's too overpowered.
Well, that was remember Scratch-Tasia, the Itchy and Scratchy version of Fantasia. That was when he chopped him up and he chopped him, and they all turned in. They were microscopic and went into his bloodstream and killed him. That's
you never want more versions. Like it's like Ash in the Army of Darkness. Same thing. The lashes. But yeah, but they just show the finger there at the end. I'm like, is something going to happen here?
Yeah.
And they another episode ahead at the same finger. I'm like, but it looks a little different. I'm like, oh boy, this is weird. Kind of creepy, but I'm digging the show.
Yeah.
So
nice.
Check it out.
Good deal.
It's really good.
Good deal.
Then another series that I have been watching, here and there, because it's not something like, oh my God, what happens next? It's The Muppets Mayhem. This is Dr. Teeth and Electric Mayhem, a series all about them.
Oh, is it like Daco style? Like, hey, back in the blah, blah, blah.
No, it's kind of like saying, it's like, it's basically, the premise is, I just love it. It's a dumb premise, but it's perfect. It's the fact that the Electric Mayhem never actually recorded an album, and they own it. They owe a studio an album. So now they're finally coming due 50 years later.
Oh my God. Oh, I have to see this. So it's ongoing, or it's like a TV movie, or what is it?
No, it's a series. So it's got a lot of guest stars in it, just like Muppets have always had.
How funny.
It's got like two main human characters are involved. One's basically a super fan of Electric Mayhem, follows them around, knows everything about them.
Oh my
and then
God.
one is a young executive who's trying to like make her mark. So she's like, well, if I can get them to make a record, I will be on the fast track to fame.
Oh my God, how funny.
It's great. It has so many little fun drops, lots of original music.
Who are the two human actors?
I don't know if you would know them, Charlie. I'm sure they've been in things, but it's not like just I'm like, oh, I know them from whatever. I've seen them before. No, I could not even tell you who they are. I mean, I could look it up and tell you.
That's fine. Don't worry about it.
No names, but it's very fun. Like every episode is like they'll do some original music, which is a lot of fun. And music's pretty good.
Yeah,
and they just get into wacky hijinks.
Oh, how funny! I want to see it.
And I actually bought. I'll have to put this up. I bought the album.
Yeah.
They basically made a vinyl album of the songs from this show, and it's one of those picture discs. So I bought it from Walmart because they had it. So I got it. It's fun.
Well, the music must be on like streamer. Like, is it on like Amazon Prime Music, so I can go listen to it? Because I'm a subscriber.
I imagine. I mean, because if the music, they put a disc out, I mean, I'm assuming you can listen to it.
Right.
I trying to look where you would find it on the web. Probably go to Spotify or Amazon Music.
Yeah, I will check it out because now I'm interested. Okay. I got into movie, and then actually I got in a little bit of comic reading. I go in spurts, usually separated by like sometimes 6 to 9 months with Amazing Spider-Man. One of the things that that's on my geek resume is that I've read every issue of the Amazing Spider-Man, because I'm such a huge Spider-Man dude. But much like with the Bat Family or the X-Men or any other ongoing franchise, it will expand and contract as far as alternate characters and different titles and stuff. And like, you've got Miles Morales Spider-Man, you've got Peter and Miles together as the Spider-Men, you've got a character called Spider-Boy that I'm not at all familiar with. I probably should dig in. Spider Dude. And then you've got the various female characters, including the Gwen Stacy of Earth 65, Ghost Spider / Spider-Gwen, whatever it is. You've got Julia Carpenter, who's now Madam Web, no disrespect to our own Madam Web. You've got the various other Spider-Verse characters coming around, this different stuff. So earlier this year, and it's now available on Marvel Unlimited, the good folks at Marvel took a classic Spider title, The Web of Spider-Man, which ran between 1985 and about 1998 or so. So it was one of the core Spider-Man titles when I was growing up reading comics, but they turned it into a primer for 2024. So they gave you a little blurb of a story, whether it was an excerpt or it was a run up, kind of in a free comic book day kind of fashion, like, hey, here's what's coming up. And about 10 or 12 different Spider-Man related titles that will happen during this calendar year. Now, I'm read up on Amazing Spider-Man through the Gang War arc, and they're getting into something a little different now that has to do with Ravencroft.
Is that the Crips and the Bloods?
Yes,
Are we talking about
one.
the what's the other famous gang?
No.
Rascals.
Because it's New York City, it's the Warriors. Warriors, cleat, cleat, cleat. That's what it is.
So it's going to be the Jokers and the Brooklyn, whatever they're called, the
they
baseball
were the
team.
Regency Toughs and the who the hell was
the Jackals.
The the
Pussycat Dolls.
Gramercy Riffs. Yeah, I love that film. April hates that movie, so I only ever watch it when she's not around. Which is funny because she's out of town next weekend. It'll be time for my annual rewatch. I can watch that movie again. That and Cat
Watch
People.
that, Streets of Fire, all the Walter Hill classics.
Cat People, other movies April won't let me watch. But
you've already seen it twice, Charlie. I think that's all you can watch it.
If I watch
cancer, if you watch it,
if I watched it a third time, do I turn into a subject of one of that dude's movies? The guy who made that movie is from Grand Rapids, but yeah, it was just he kind of went out to LA and went nuts. But anyway, this was fun, and again, available on Marvel Unlimited. It gives you touches on some of those titles that I talked about, other limited series coming up, other long-term running stuff. So I thought it was a great way to catch up, and again, it's whet your appetite, because I, like you, Todd, I don't get into all the crossover stuff when you're reading the main storyline, but not everybody's like us. Some people are going to read this and go, oh, I really, Spider-Boy really speaks to me because, I'm 12 years old and getting into reading comics for the first time. So I'm down with that. Or I've loved Miles Morales because he's a person of color character that I've loved since, 2011 when he first came out. So great little catch up if you've been out for a while to kind of whet your appetite, as it were, for whet your appetite for wheat cakes, which is of course the Aunt May classic. Oh, very good. And then yes, Friday night, and this came from April's suggestion. It's rare that April will have a movie that she's like, we got to go see this, because we usually go see mainline stuff. We're like, oh, we want date night, let's go see whatever. But she said, I want to see this movie because I've been hearing stuff about it. I think we talked about it in one of our run up to horror scary movies coming out. But we got the release, the surprise, as what I really feel is going to be a surprise hit of the summer, Longlegs. Starring Micah Moore, Morgan Monroe, I think is her name. She was the replacement daughter in Independence Day, the second one. She was replacing Mae Whitman's character, who Mae Whitman played that president's
great reference.
Yeah,
I don't know that.
That's the only thing I could think of. That's the only thing I can remember her from. But she plays. It's set in the 90s. She plays a very quiet, like almost to the point of you wonder if she's on the spectrum, FBI agent who is, in her late 20s. Her boss is played by Blair Underwood. She has a weird hoarder mother who's played by Alicia Witt. And they're all in pursuit of a serial killer who calls himself Longlegs, who is a prosthetically covered Nicolas Cage. He has a face that looks like, those videos that you see of like basically celebrity surgery has gone wrong. Recognize the name Jocelyn Wildenstein, who had
is that the Catwoman?
The big bulbous face, almost like the way Madonna looks now with the big bulbous face.
Is that the Catwoman?
Might be. But anyway,
I think that's the Catwoman. Like she looks like a tiger.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a tiger woman.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, Nicolas Cage put on a similar visage to that, and yeah, he's a serial killer who's been active for 20 years. Prior to this, and they're drilling down trying to finally catch him. But the twists and turns in this movie, it's a suspense thriller. There's definitely some grisly violence. It's obviously rated R. But this theater, you know how theaters are smaller than they were post-COVID. Yeah. Things have been redesigned, reclining seats, so on and so forth. So your standard theater is a lot smaller than it used to be. Theater we went to when we saw this on Thursday night was near capacity for this movie that I feel like almost no one has any awareness of. And when I was back, reading some news on it, they said it could pull 25 million in its opening weekend.
That's what I heard.
Which is
awesome.
That's very rare for something
it's like the black phone, right?
That's exactly. That was the parallel that I drew when I was talking about it. So, but anyway, if you enjoy suspense thrillers and, if you can handle the grisly violence, but you would love to see really pull it out and find a very unexpected twist at the end. Todd, you got to go see this one.
I was wondering because I mean, I've been listening to some things about this because, I've heard like some people have hyped this movie as like, it is the scariest movie. I'm like, when people say that, I'm like,
yeah, probably not.
Who's paying you for that? But I'm like,
yeah.
I just wanted to get your pulse on this because I am curious about it.
Do it.
It does sound like more like a Black Phone, kind of like creepy, lots of mood, and
definitely
not really supernatural.
Definitely not PG-13. I'm not going to answer that next question because that would kind of give away some things that don't need to be given away. But yeah, go see this, man. I'm not going to say another thing at all. This is my recommendation of the week. It's
I've got for some reason my credit card. Somebody tried using my credit card, so I thankfully my company told me. Or not my company, but the credit card company. Told me. So I had to get a new credit card. So my movie pass thing was linked to it, so it expired. So I'm resubbed to it now because I got my new credit card. So I'm gonna see some movies because I'm like I was gonna see Fly Me to the Moon, but my app wasn't working. And I'm like, do I really want to pay $12 to see this movie?
God,
no, I'll wait until I can pay $5 for it.
Yeah, is that how much movies are now? Yeah, our because we do the monthly thing to Celebration Cinema, as I mentioned a million times.
Well, I do monthly too, and it's like I can choose 1, 2, or 3 movies because a month, and I'm like, I don't really need to see more than that. So I'm like, okay, I went down in tiers because I know there's not that many movies coming out, so perfect timing. I'll do this because I was a little bit nervous. I'm like, is this going to be like a grisly type of movie? It's going to be gross, but it sounds like it's more up my alley.
Yeah, I'm going to say there is some graphic violence. I wouldn't say it was pervasive, but the suspense is intense, and the twist ending. You don't end up seeing it. There were elements to this I just didn't I didn't know. Like I said, with the main FBI agent, she's awkward enough that you almost wonder if she's having mental delusions. You can't really tell. But yeah, it's a big shocker when you find out what's really going on at the end. So anyway, with that, I will say no more. But that takes us out of the Geek Easy.
Oh, I was going to ask you. So I got a couple follow-up questions.
Oh, please.
I remember there was a movie we saw, was it last year? The movie about the house in like Detroit, where like it was like a Airbnb. And
oh God, yeah, and
that movie was crazy too.
And it was funny. The neighborhood they mentioned is when my stepmother's brother, so my uncle by marriage, Sean, who's a Detroit cop, talked about that neighborhood. It's the Brightmoor neighborhood in Detroit. It's one of the absolute worst, and so that cracked me up that on this street that's totally ruined, you have this one beautiful Airbnb. In the middle of
battle-torn Baghdad. Here's
exactly.
Airbnb. One last follow-up. Have you seen Maxine already or no?
No, but I'd like to. But that's one that, like, when we saw X, which was the first film that April was like, oh, but I'm like, but there's lots of nudity in it. I enjoy that. So yes, I want to go see Maxine because maybe that's what I can do this weekend when I'm flying solo.
Yeah, you got your own thing. So yeah, I do want to see the first two because obviously. Maxine is like the last one, so I need to get some time to watch
Pearl was a snoozer. I didn't care for it, the middle one.
Oh, really? A lot of people really like that one.
Yeah.
So,
no, but
interesting.
It might be the complete lack of boobs, but you know what? I'm a simple man. What do you want from me? What do you want from me? I'm telling you the truth. Truth.
Interesting.
Oh my gosh. So I'll tell you what, we'll maybe if you go see Maxine, I go see Maxine, maybe we'll talk about it next week. We'll see what happens.
Well, that's required heavy lift. I have to watch 3 movies.
Yes. Well,
in a week. I don't think that's happening.
Yeah,
I'm going to see first 2, and then I got to see the other one.
Gotcha.
So that might be a heavy lift, but we'll see.
Exactly. All right. Well, let's get up on out of here. As I said, time to get down. Got to get that Air Qantas app. Time to get down to the land down under, where we are hooking up with Hologram Tina and the Mutants to talk about our penultimate retro spoiler cast of an X-Men film. We're talking about 2017's Logan.
Welcome to another edition of Thunderdome!
We're sitting in the Thunderdome where the mutants been... No, let me do that again. Thank you, Tina. The mutants have been...
And 3, 2, 1, go.
Thank you, Tina. The mutants have been gathered for a topic or game to be entertained. And this week we are approaching the end of the Summer of X. This is part 6, where we focus on 2017's Logan.
Right. And this has the what did we talk about last week? Deadpool. So this has the also distinction of being a film that we've probably spoiler casted in the past because we've been making our show since 2014.
Yeah, we probably did. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'd be curious to see who we talked about that with.
Yes.
Because we've brought in some ringers for certain shows of
Right.
certain types. So we'll have to look into that. I'll see what it says.
Yeah.
But this movie, essentially, to a lot of people, was kind of the end of an era.
Yep.
Because essentially, we then got the Days of Future Past, or sorry, First Class.
Was before
Was that
this.
before?
So I think what the end of an era piece that I think is reflective is
of the original X-Men.
Yeah, what happened a year after this
Yeah.
was the Fox acquisition by Disney, which was I was watching a breakdown video of teen obviously running things up to Deadpool and Wolverine, which is what we're doing right now, which pointed out that Disney acquisition of Fox probably dampened anything else X-Men related that Fox was going to put out, which they still did, because then we got the final. Now I'm misremembering. Do we get the last two of the X-Men of what spun off of First Class? So we got the Apocalypse movie, and then we got the Dark Phoenix, which was it was a race to the bottom of a hill with those two films. It was just worse and worse and worse. But yeah, I'd have to double check the dates, but yeah. Oh, you're muted, bud. Muted.
It's kind of like the rule of two with X-Men. It's it's too good, too bad, too good,
Right.
too bad. You can keep going like that. Hopefully we're done with that.
Yeah. Now that it's
era.
the MCU, but we've certainly found out that the MCU is also not without its flaws.
Although I guess New Mutants might derail that, because do we count Deadpool as part of this as the good thing?
Yeah,
or do we
I don't
not?
know.
I don't know.
It depends on what kind of interactivity those films had. But regardless, so let's set the stage. This is
let's the detail. Are we giving the details now about this wonderful film?
Let's do that right now. So again, came out in 2017.
Yep.
Our director was James Mangold, who
did the Wolverine.
This kind of spins off of that. It could be considered a director / indirect sequel. Also takes place 5 or 6 years after the events that were the end of Days of Future Past, where we see the future where Wolverine comes back and everybody's still alive in the mansion. So
2029 is the actual date that's set in the thing. Yep. Let's see what else. 137 minutes, so a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm.
Budget about probably, let's call it 120 million.
Yeah.
Made 619 million. So once again, a very successful film.
Yeah, big
this
time.
Was R-rated. I don't believe the Wolverine was R-rated, was it?
No, it was not. And it was funny because I actually watched Deadpool 2 last night because April's not going to be around next weekend, and I would generally watch it in anticipation of us talking about it. But it was funny because the very beginning of that film spoofs this film with the little statuette he has of Wolverine as seen at the end of this film. And then he says, F Wolverine, he stole my bit he stole my bit with the R rating. And then, yes. And then obviously Logan's ultimate fate, since this is a spoiler cast, we know that this is his swan song. He does in fact die at the end. Sorry, it's a spoiler cast. And it's from 8 years ago, so deal with it.
Yeah. The cast, I would say the fact that we got Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart kind of teaming up was kind of nice to have kind of like their relationship be the main part of this film. We got Daphne Keane playing Laura, who you've seen as Jackie Moon.
That is a very awkward photo of her where she looks like she's naked.
Yes, I'm sure that's what happened. They planned. Boyd Holbrook, who is just, I love it when he's in a film because you just know he's going to chew the scenery.
He does, yeah. Give him that scenery and a sandwich because he's chewing on it big time. Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, Stephen Merchant was a big surprise as Caliban. Typically comedic actor playing a very serious part, which I loved. Mm-hmm. Let's see, Richard Grant, great character actor playing Dr. Rice. He was
the last big Star Wars baddie, or he was plugged into the Rise of Skywalker as one of the major general guys. Elizabeth Rodriguez is Gabriella. She was in The Orange is the New Black. I know that's not a show that you dug
cool,
into.
Cool.
But we get a return of Eric LaSalle, who was always such a jerk
that
on
was
ER.
Kind of out of the that was kind of a out of the blue kind of casting, but very small role, but very I thought a great role in this film.
I think he really nailed it, and that's about the end of the heavies in the cast.
I'm trying to think of anybody else that because there were a lot of mutants and maybe young mutants that maybe were significant. I mean, we had like Richter, which was one of the few called out mutants who was part of the New Mutants,
right?
So, or X-Force,
right?
So yeah, I mean, other than that, we largely do not have a lot of other named or people you're aware of in this film,
right?
And so at this point, we'll give you the byline: in a future where mutants are nearly extinct, an elderly and weary Logan leads a quiet life. But when Laura, a mutant child pursued by scientists, comes to him for help, he must get her to safety. This movie, when I think about like serious adaptations that probably would have never been made at Disney under the MCU.
Right.
This is one of them.
Yeah.
We got Deadpool, we've got this. I'm trying to think of what other, those movies that were the properties that really changed your mind about something.
Right.
And that's one of the only thing I'm saying in the future with Disney. Now that we're getting a R-rated Deadpool Wolverine, maybe I don't have to be nervous that we won't get another movie that pushes the boundaries under Disney.
And I just have no doubt in my mind that Deadpool and Wolverine will explode on the big screen. It will be enormous. Hopefully it'll win the summer, because I was the only one of the three of us that picked it as the number one film of the summer. So.
Oh, really? I thought you had picked Inside Out too.
You and John, no, that's my number 2. You and John have the same top 5.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but
we're going to lose badly together.
We'll see. But do keep in mind, this is available to watch on Disney Plus, video on demand, rent or purchase, Fandango, Amazon Prime, etc. And physical media is still a thing. Generally, you would find that at a big box retailer or on Amazon, most likely Amazon. Holy cow. This is a film that it's a gut punch from stem to stern. And you're right, it is longer. It's 2 hours and 17 minutes, something like that. But I didn't feel like a lot of wasted time. Patrick Stewart's portrayal of as stated 90-year-old Professor X, who drops the occasional F-bomb from time to time. This was right before...
There's a Taco Bell commercial, too.
Yes, the chalupa. Get it with chicken, get it with beef. This was just prior to his return to the role of Jean-Luc Picard in the Picard series in 2019, of which he brought definitely a different energy to that role, and he brings a totally different energy to this role of, this is what 90 looks like when you're, and in this case, actually in the case of both characters, so Picard and Charles Xavier, they're in poor health, they're losing their faculties, they're both dying, and in the first season of Picard, Jean-Luc is dying. Patrick Stewart is to the point where he's having psychic seizures, which cripple people around him. It's 1 year after he had a seizure so big that it destroyed everything at the school and killed, what did they say, 60-something people? Or
7 mutants, but disabled, 600 people. Impacted, didn't kill them, but killed 7 mutants, and disabled like 600 mutants or 600 people in Westchester.
And what we find out through the progression of Dr. Rice, Richard E. Grant's character, is that natural mutation is on a decline, thanks to the fact that what he describes as gene therapy has been engineered into the food and water supply worldwide.
It's fluoride, man. It's fluoride.
Exactly. Yeah. So they put on men and women are drinking this, and the X gene is the gene that causes mutation is being suppressed or dissolved. So there are less mutants in the world. But Wolverine, now being nearly 200 years old, we do know that he was born in the 1830s in Canada, and it's now
1845.
Yeah, and now it's nearly 2030 in the timeline of this. He's nearly 200 years old. So his body, I mean, you'll notice at the beginning he's walking with a limp. His body is covered in scars that won't heal, and after 50 years of having adamantium grafted to his skull, grafted across the skin, it's poisoning him. So he is dying.
Kind of like us in microplastics,
exactly.
Right? All those extra features we get from the microplastics.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I got microplastics and everything. I'm breathing them right now. Like, microplastics. So tasty. But anyway, yeah, so he is dying. And this woman, Gabriella, approaches him at a funeral because what he does is he is a limo driver. And it was funny.
I love it.
Yeah, it's funny. He drives this souped up Chrysler, which is funny because I drove a Chrysler at the time, my old Chrysler.
It's a 2024 Chrysler.
And it was a 2024, exactly. It was funny because it was a 5-year lease because it's 2029. So he must have been on the long.
I'm guessing he's leasing a 5-year-old vehicle. I don't think he's leasing a new one.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what? It was very nice, but it was so funny.
Oh yeah,
that was his big concern in the opening. The opening scene of this really set the table because he's parked under a billboard off of a freeway near El Paso, Texas, so near the Mexican border, and a bunch of cholos, excuse me, the expression they use, are stealing his hubcaps. And he get out and say, "Hey guys, you're not going to be able to get these. This thing's elite." And then he finally gets into a big fight with these guys. But first, he tries to pop his claws, and one won't come out. And it's just like you sucked. Talk about hard times. But in the end of it, he does go berserker. But the main thing he's worried about when these guys draw on him is not shooting the car, which that lasts for a little while because the car, of course, eventually does get destroyed. But what else would you expect?
Yeah, it really was a different look at the world of X-Men that we really hadn't gotten before.
Yeah.
Understanding that the mutants are basically a dying breed, and at this point, you've got this odd couple relationship between Logan, who's trying to get money eventually to get out to the ocean with Chuck, and
Chuck is dad because when they meet Eric LaSalle and family, they're posing as a family. So Laura, who is X-23, Daphne Keene's character, is his daughter, which, as we find out, is the truth. And then and then Xavier Chuck is introduced as his father.
Yeah, it's so we've got the odd couple where basically he's living this space across the border in Mexico, dilapidated. I think it was a factory or something like that. And he has to house Professor Xavier in this like old water tower that's on its side because they are so worried about him using his powers in his
inadvertently
when he gets these seizures. Exactly. That they're trying to protect him. And when he doesn't get his medication, because we find out Wolverine actually is having some vision issues and gets made fun of by Caliban, you find him getting readers so he can actually read.
He's 200, leave him alone. Yeah.
You see these seizures that he has just disables everyone.
Right,
Wolverine's like the only one that kind of can get through it, but that's through sheer agony.
Yeah, that's because you have this long scene once our people escape from Mexico and they're making their way to Canada where there's supposed to be this refuge. Of course, Gabriella dies because that's what you would expect. But she records this big video testimonial on how she worked at this hospital compound in Mexico City where all of these mutant kids were test tube babies and experimented on. And so as our people are forced to flee, Vegas ends up being their first stop. And you have that long sequence in the hotel room where Chuck is having his seizure because he's not had his medicine in time. And Wolverine, while all the flunkies are frozen, he stabs each one of them in the head with his claws. It's just they're not holding anything back. And rescues them, and then they end up in Oklahoma, which is where we meet Eric LaSalle and family, and the bad guys catch up with that. But we do find out their true secret weapon because they figured out that breeding kids and trying to turn them into soldiers is kind of a dead end. But if you just breed an adult killing machine, that totally works, and that's what they
turn
did.
Them into a test tube baby, raise them like that. You can use, and they, talking about they found all of these different, they had mutant genes left over from the Alkali Lake facility, which brings us back to where, Weapon X is, and you find out that Wolverine actually killed Dr. Rice's father. They even actually address that. So you do get a kind of a little bit throwback. And fun fact, Charlie, Dr. Xander Rice is actually the doctor in the comics who created X-23 as well. So it is a true documented character before we really knew about it. So I'm glad they incorporated that with the X-23 character.
Yeah.
And then brought this full circle.
Very good. But yes, in the end of it, we find out that X-24 is a young, totally in his prime version of Wolverine, Hugh Jackman.
Who looks like Sabretooth in a lot of ways.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Cool
they
cut,
made him like Liev Schreiber, who was his brother in the X-Men Origins film. So, they do it is kind of cool to see them take little timey-wimey bits of stuff and all. It's like a wad of gum under a desk, It's like, oh, here's all the different X-Men stuff,
Yeah.
But they do that. And so brutal fight scenes between, Wolverine and X-24, the stabbing, and at the end of it, they do make it to the Canadian border, but that's going to be our third act kind of blowout, where Wolverine, unfortunately, X-24 does defeat Wolverine and impales him through a tree trunk. And then X-24.
Well, you're jumping all the way. I didn't even talk about we haven't talked about the Reavers yet, Charlie. You're just like, this happened.
All right.
Yes.
All right.
Let's bring it back. Let's bring it back. We got to pace ourselves here.
All right.
So essentially, we get the Reavers, who are the ones that essentially reached out to Wolverine first to lead him to X-23.
Yeah.
And then we get some showdowns. The Reavers were a big part of the Mutant Massacre in the comics. And they are basically essentially enhanced humans. And there's a lot of references to the way they look based on the characters in the comics. And then you get the main guy, who we see played by Boyd Holbrook Pierce. Made me think of another character named Pierce in the comics too, but I'm not sure. Donald Pierce. I don't know if they're referencing him specifically, but it's kind of neat. And they brought it back to Caliban's role in all this. It's a redemption for him because he essentially worked with the Reavers to basically track down all of the mutants. And that's what Caliban's ability is. To track mutants, albino, sensitive to the sun.
He's the truffle pig. I thought that was a great where he described himself. Yeah.
Yeah. Great just interaction. The way this is all working is basically their main reason they feel like they're justified in all of this is the fact that they have to take down these kids because they're a danger, and also Professor Xavier, who is essentially a weapon of mass destruction. They talk about that. So that's kind of like, this is the force. So essentially along the way, you get the Reavers, who really aren't a huge threat between X-23 and Wolverine. Even X-23 has these, they mentioned that she is more dangerous than the male, like a lion, because she actually has claws in her feet, uses those defensively, which is a cool
which means open-toed shoes all the way. She just got to wear sandals. Yeah,
that's a kind of a rough one. And I'm trying to think, where does that come out? Does she have toes? Nobody knows.
Oh, you're right.
I mean, does it come out between the toes?
Maybe it comes from the flat of the foot. Yeah,
it could be
underneath the toe.
So yeah, I mean, it should have been through the heel. That would make more sense because you got nothing there blocking.
And watching her use that's totally awesome. The way she's when she goes full on like Black Widow with the feet wrapped around the head and flinging a dude. But when she's fighting X-24, because she's really trying to basically, who is her, her cousin, her big brother. I don't know.
Brother.
But when she's wrapped around him and she's kicking him around the back and stabbing him, just like a fillet of fish. And I think those are some of the craziest fight scenes we're watching X-23 and X-24 slug it out.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the fun part was they really incorporate a lot of things to make you feel like the X-Men were a big part of the world in regards to the fact that a lot of the plot elements revolved around comic books of the X-Men, which were actually drawn by Joe Quesada.
Those are pretty cool.
That was in the credits, which I thought was pretty cool. And the fact is that everyone assumes those comic books are like historical stories based on real adventures.
Where they're just comic books, as opposed to comic books we read, which are completely fictional.
They're real, Charlie. They really are real.
Yeah.
We know. Yeah. Aren't you sure?
I was, every year there's a big crossover where the Earth is threatened. How could I forget about that? So,
and that's where the whole plot of Eden is. There's actual coordinates in the comic books, which I thought was kind of neat.
Yeah.
And I mean, I just thought it was kind of a neat way to bring things together. And the whole thing with Logan is you did feel like regardless of how bad things went for him, he was always going to do the right thing, because he at no point did he continue to bring up the fact that Wolverine didn't kill the team, even though that's what Professor Xavier had forgotten.
Yeah.
Just wasn't brought up again. And he didn't hold it against Charles that everyone was killed and all these things went down, and he was willing to still make the ultimate sacrifice to help him. And I like that we got a lot of emotional clarity from him at the end. Why doesn't he do these? Instead of the tough guy act comes through, people die. I'm bad at this, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just really thought it was
everyone around
revealing.
Everyone around me gets hurt, and she says, "Well, I'll be fine then." And then obviously, that's,
exactly.
Yeah,
great moment. And then these kids. Quite honestly, I feel bad. Like, I don't know how they're making their way. Did they bring a lot of food?
I guess.
Mean,
and I don't know. I don't know what's so great for me. I don't know what's so great for mutants in Canada. They go over in Alpha Flight's on the other side. So come on in.
And North Dakota does not have terrain like that. It's flat as a board.
The entire film was shot in New Mexico and Louisiana. I did check it out. Yeah, exactly.
They should have said like Washington State, because Washington State, I could at least believe there is, you know.
Plus, then they would have ended up in Vancouver, which I understand is a very cool place. So yeah,
sure.
Instead of
why not?
What's on the other side of the border from North Dakota? Is it?
Winnipeg is north of Minnesota, so it would be. Would that be like
Regina? Like Saskatchewan? Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
We're bad. You know what? Hit us. And if Mark's listening,
Mark needs to give us a geography lesson.
I always bring up that. I love maps and stuff. I just can't tell you that I have it all committed to memory. But I know you're looking right now. I can tell. I can see the reflection.
Let me look at my provinces of Canada.
Yeah.
So if I look at this, north of Regina, Saskatchewan, Saskatoon.
I just remembered Deadpool's line from the movie last week where he's talking up Wade Wilson from Regina, Saskatchewan, is when he's in the scene on the bridge. So they ended up with Deadpool. That's who they're with.
Yep, they were heading to Regina.
Which just
Regina.
It's dirtier the more you say it. Sorry, Regina.
Yeah. And stay through the credits of this film. There is a great Johnny Cash song at the end.
Yes,
it's amazing.
Yes, yeah.
The man comes around.
Great,
really good. I love the
stinger though. I did watch it to the end, but anyway, the song is
correct. I mean, it didn't need one.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you say? He's dead.
Dead. What can you do with it? And here's his grave. We're just going to show you. Yeah. So when he does pass, you have a very nice tender moment with Laura holding his hand, calling him daddy, and then they bury him under a pile of rocks, and they put two sticks together, making the X. And so
tilted over to the X. I mean, they could have done one end credit, and they said, and here's another Dokken, everyone's least favorite Wolverine, kid knockoff.
Wasn't he another clone?
Horrible. He's got that bad mohawk. He's got like the claw that comes underneath. Just way too. Yeah.
In fact, you are not rocking with Dokken, which is always one of my favorite ones.
Daken. Yeah.
Oh my God.
He's about as cool.
Bad stuff. All right. So, per our usual measurement, our usual ratio of claws, 10 claws. So, 6, and then.
We're getting
two
Wolverines and X-23s together. So she's got 2, he's got 3 on each hand.
There you go.
That's 5.
Bang. All right. So out of the 10 claws, where do you land?
This is a 10 for me, man. This is Marvel's Dark Knight.
Yeah,
I mean, as far as I'm from this Fox era, I mean, obviously there's other good ones too.
It's
I like
the best
Winter
thing
Soldier's
they did.
probably my other favorite comic book in the Marvel universe.
Yep. Yeah, I'm with you. There is nothing missing. They put it all on the screen with this. Nothing missing. No plot development that seems ridiculous. Nothing that they could have done that they shouldn't have done. It was terrific. A lot of just everything that's great. So go see it. And as always, with all things, hit us up on socials. Tell us what you loved about this. We'll tell you a little bit more about that in a second. But that's the show, friends. Thank you as always for joining us. Todd, where do people find you out there?
When I'm not in Regina, Canada, I am on Threads at Toxtra, at Secret Friends Unite. Check me out there, trying to share the joy, get people involved. And once again, we're going to do the Secret Friends Unite community podcast. It's going to be a ton of fun. It's going to be exclusive for Patreon. So if you're curious and have never done podcasts before, and you just want to be part of the fun of talking about the geeky stuff you love, check us out. Become a Patreon 1-week trial. join us for that, see how it goes, and maybe you'll stick around. But please do. More information will come out to our Patreon channel and Discord, and also on the Patreon channel as well.
Excellent. And of course, as you had mentioned, that our Discord is a great place to track us down, but you can find me over on Threads and Instagram, trying to definitely be better about using Threads. But I am at the C3, spelled out TheCeeThree. And like I said, our Secret Friends Discord is the friendliest Discord in Regina, Saskatchewan, and the United States. So come check us out. But that's where I'm at. That's where I spend my time. So friends, thank you one more time for joining us. I can tell you as always that sharing is caring, and to keep on trucking.
Be the hero, not the villain.
In a truck.
When the man comes around.
Snicked!
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network. Visit secretfriendsunite.com for more great shows, articles, news, reviews, and more. Secret Friends Unite podcasts are available on Apple, Google, Spotify, and other podcast services around the world. If you'd like to be part of the conversation, you can join us on Facebook or our new Discord server, or follow at Secret Friends U on Twitter. Please subscribe to Secret Friends Unite on YouTube and visit our merch store at tpublic.com. Just search Secret Friends Unite. Thanks for listening.